Imagine a vast expanse where time itself seems to pause, where endless sand dunes stretch out in a calm desert, unchanging and serene. There, in that quiet world, the grains of sand whisper softly to one another, shifting ever so slightly under a gentle breeze that never hurries, never rushes, just flows on and on in peaceful repetition. It's a place where the sun hangs low, casting long shadows that blend into the horizon, inviting you to let go of the day's worries and sink into the monotony of it all. Welcome to this sleep aid journey through the endless sand dunes in a calm desert. As we explore this dull, uneventful landscape together, allow your mind to wander aimlessly. If you're enjoying this serene escape, please like, subscribe, and share in the comments your favorite aspect of a calm desert. What simple, monotonous detail helps you unwind? Now, settle in, breathe deeply, and let the endless calm envelop you. Let us begin our journey by immersing ourselves in the eternal landscape of these endless sand dunes, in this calm desert, where everything is still and unchanging, where the sand simply lies there, smooth and undisturbed, stretching out forever in gentle waves that rise and fall so slowly, so predictably, without any hurry or surprise. Picture the dunes, each one a soft mound of golden sand formed over countless years by the patient wind that blows softly, always softly, carrying tiny grains from one place to another in a cycle that repeats endlessly, day after day, night after night, with no variation, no excitement, just the same gentle shifting over and over again. The sand is fine, so very fine, like powdered silk underfoot. And as you imagine walking across it, your steps sink in just a little, leaving faint impressions that the wind will soon erase, smoothing everything back to its original state as if nothing ever happened. Because in this calm desert, nothing ever really does. The dunes curve gracefully, their crests rounded and not sharp or dramatic, but mellow and inviting, encouraging you to gaze upon them for hours, watching how the light plays across their surfaces in the most mundane way, highlighting the subtle textures of the sand, the tiny ripples formed by the breeze, ripples that form and reform in the same patterns, again and again, without end. Feel the warmth of the sand, retained from the sun's gentle rays, a warmth that seeps into your being, relaxing your muscles one by one as you contemplate the vastness, the sheer repetition of dune after dune, each identical to the last, blending seamlessly into the next, creating a landscape that is profoundly boring in its perfection, its lack of change. The horizon is a hazy line where sand meets sky, a boundary that never shifts, never alters, just remains there, distant and serene, drawing your eyes along its unchanging path. As we delve deeper into this landscape, consider the colors, the soft palette of beiges and tans that dominate everything, unchanging under the sun's steady glow, a glow that bathes the dunes in a light that is neither too bright nor too dim, just consistently mild, day in and day out. The sand grains themselves are uniform, each one a tiny speck of quartz or feldspar, worn smooth by time, by the endless erosion that happens so gradually, so imperceptibly, that it's like watching paint dry, but even slower, even more monotonous. Imagine lying down on one of these dunes, feeling the sand conform to your body, supporting you gently as the wind whispers past, carrying with it the faint scent of dry earth, a scent that is familiar and unchanging, lulling you into a state of complete inaction. And so the dunes continue, rolling on forever, each one a mirror of the others, with no peaks too high, no valleys too deep, just a harmonious undulation that repeats, inviting your mind to empty itself of thoughts, to focus only on the sameness, the tedium of it all. The shadows lengthen as the sun moves slowly across the sky, but even that movement is predictable, casting elongated shapes that stretch across the sand in patterns that you've seen before, that you'll see again, without any novelty. In this calm desert, the landscape is a testament to patience, to the beauty of boredom, where every detail is drawn out, elaborated upon, looped back to the beginning, like the wind that circles lazily, picking up a grain here, depositing it there, only to do it all over once more. Let your imagination wander along the base of a dune, where the sand accumulates in soft piles, undisturbed by anything but the occasional puff of air that scatters a few grains, then settles them back down in the same spot as if nothing occurred. The texture is powdery, yielding to the touch, and if you were to run your fingers through it, you'd feel the coolness beneath the surface layer, a coolness that contrasts mildly with the warmth above, but not in a way that startles. Oh no, it's all very gentle, very expected. This is the essence of the endless sand dunes, a place where time stretches out infinitely, where the landscape invites you to forget the rush of the world and embrace the dull repetition, the monotonous flow of sand over sand, dune over dune. As we linger here, let's reflect on the formation of these dunes, a process that is slow and methodical, beginning with the wind gathering particles from distant places, but in this calm desert, those places are just more of the same, more sand, more dunes. So the gathering is uneventful, the building gradual, layer upon layer, added over eons, each layer identical to the one before, compressing gently under its own weight, forming structures that stand quietly, unchanging. The wind, that constant companion, blows at a steady pace, not gusty or fierce, but even and soft, sculpting the dunes with a touch so light it's barely noticeable. Yet over time it creates these vast forms that dominate the view, forms that you can stare at for what feels like forever, losing yourself in their sameness. And on it goes, the landscape unfolding in repetitive splendor, with oases perhaps dotted here and there, but in this calm version, they are mere pools of still water surrounded by more sand, reflecting the dunes in their glassy surfaces, adding another layer of monotony as the reflections mimic the real thing perfectly, without distortion, without change. The palm trees, if any, sway minimally, their fronds rustling in a rhythm that is hypnotic in its predictability. Back and forth, never varying. This is the world of the endless sand dunes, a realm designed for relaxation through sheer tedium, where every description loops back upon itself, encouraging your eyelids to droop, your breathing to slow as you sink deeper into the calm. The vastness is overwhelming in its simplicity, with no landmarks to break the monotony, just dune after dune, each one a soft hill of sand that invites contemplation of nothing in particular, just the feel of the grains, the sight of the curves, the sound of silence punctuated by the faintest whisper of wind. Imagine tracing the outline of a dune with your eyes, following its gentle slope up to the crest, then down the other side, only to find another dune waiting, identical, ready for the same tracing, over and over. This repetition is the key to unwinding, to letting go, as the landscape drones on in its boring beauty, filling your mind with peaceful emptiness. In this chapter, we've only scratched the surface of the dune's eternal landscape, but already you might feel the pull of sleep, the weight of monotony pressing gently upon you as we transition smoothly to the next aspect. Let the images of these unchanging sands carry you forward, repeating in your mind like a soft mantra, dune after dune, sand after sand, calm after calm. Now, as the endless sand dunes continue their unchanging vigil around us, let us turn our attention to the gentle rhythms of desert routines in this calm expanse where daily life unfolds in the most predictable, uneventful manner, with activities that repeat softly day after day, without any deviation or surprise, just a soothing cycle of simple tasks that blend seamlessly into the serenity of the sands. Imagine the inhabitants of this peaceful desert, perhaps nomadic wanderers or quiet hermits, who rise with the first light of dawn, not in a rush, but slowly methodically stretching their limbs in the cool morning air that lingers over the dunes, air that is crisp yet mild, carrying no urgency, just the promise of another day much like the last, filled with monotonous chores that promote deep relaxation through their sheer repetition. These routines begin with the gathering of water, a task performed at a tranquil oasis nearby where the water sits still in a shallow pool, reflecting the unchanging sky above, and the wanderers approach with unhurried steps, dipping their vessels into the liquid, watching the ripples form and fade, in a pattern that is endlessly the same, never varying. Just the gentle lapping of water against sand over and over as they fill their containers, drop by drop, taking their time, savoring the boredom of the moment. The water is clear and cool, drawn from deep beneath the dunes, and carrying it back to their simple tents involves a slow walk across the soft sand, each footfall sinking in just enough to create a rhythmic plod, step after step, dune after dune, with the weight of the water providing a mild, consistent burden that eases the mind into a state of idle contemplation, free from any excitement or haste. Once back at their encampment, nestled in the lee of a dune, where the wind blows softly, always softly, the next routine unfolds. The preparation of a modest meal, perhaps flatbreads baked on hot stones, warmed by the sun. Stones that heat up gradually, predictably as the day progresses, and the dough is kneaded with patient hands, back and forth, in a motion that repeats without end. The texture smooth and yielding, the scent of baking faint and familiar, filling the air with a dull comfort that invites you to close your eyes and drift. Eating is done slowly, chewing each bite methodically, savoring the plain flavors that never change. Just simple sustenance that sustains the body in this calm desert, where meals are not feasts, but quiet rituals, repeated at the same times each day, morning, noon, and evening, like clockwork, but slower, more drawn out, more tedious in their sameness. Afternoons are devoted to restful observation, sitting in the shade of a tent flap, gazing out at the dunes that stretch endlessly, watching the sand shift ever so slightly under the breeze, a breeze that comes and goes in lazy intervals, carrying grains from one spot to another, only to return them later in the same unvarying cycle. And the wanderers might mend a piece of cloth or carve a small tool from wood scavenged long ago, their hands moving in repetitive motions, stitch after stitch, carve after carve, without innovation, just the comfort of doing the same thing again and again, feeling the fabric give way under the needle, the wood smooth under the blade. sensations that loop in your mind, lulling you deeper into relaxation. There are no conversations that spark debate or laughter. Instead, soft murmurs about the weather, which is always mild, always calm. Words exchanged in a droning tone that echoes the monotony of the landscape, repeating phrases like, "The sand is still today," or "The sun warms gently," over and over, reinforcing the peaceful tedium. As the sun begins its slow descent, the routines shift to evening preparations, gathering sparse firewood, twigs from hardy shrubs that dot the dunes sporadically, shrubs that grow so slowly, their leaves rustling in the faintest way, and collecting them is a task of bending and picking, each movement deliberate and unhurried. The wood dry and light, stacking it in neat piles that are always the same size, always in the same place, ready for a small fire that burns steadily, not brightly, casting a soft glow over the sand. Flames that flicker in a predictable rhythm, up and down, warming the night air without any flare or crackle, just a constant, boring heat that soothes the skin and invites drowsiness. Around this fire, stories are told, but they are not tales of adventure. They are recountings of past days, much like this one. Descriptions of dunes seen before, routines followed endlessly, narrated in a voice that drones on, repeating details like the curve of a particular dune or the feel of sand underfoot, looping back to the beginning, ensuring that the listener's mind wanders into sleepy haze. Night falls gently, with routines winding down to sleep, arranging bedding on the sand which molds to the body like a soft embrace, and lying there, staring up at the stars that appear one by one in the vast stars that twinkle in a pattern so regular, so unchanging, that counting them becomes a meditative exercise in futility. One star, then another, then back to the first, over and over, as the cool night air settles in, blanketing everything in quiet, and the wanderers breathe deeply, in and out, their breath syncing with the subtle pulse of the desert, a pulse that is barely there, just enough to remind you of the endless repetition that defines life here. These routines are the heartbeat of the calm desert, simple, looped, and profoundly dull, designed to erode away any lingering tension, leaving only a profound sense of peace as you imagine participating your own day mirroring theirs in its monotony. And so the cycles continue, morning to night, night to morning, each day a carbon copy of the last, with no events to mark the passage of time, just the gentle flow of tasks that blend into one another, encouraging you to let go, to surrender to the boredom that cradles you toward sleep. As we move seamlessly into the next exploration, carry with you these rhythms, letting them repeat in your thoughts. Routine after routine, calm after calm, drawing you deeper into the serene embrace of the endless sand dunes. Shifting our focus now, while the routines of the desert dwellers hum along in their unchanging way, let us contemplate the soothing cycles of desert weather and natural phenomena in this calm expanse, where the elements move in the most predictable, monotonous patterns, repeating endlessly without variation, creating an atmosphere of unrelenting serenity that washes over you like a gentle, never-ending wave, lulling your senses into profound relaxation through sheer tedium. The weather here is mild, always mild, with a sun that rises each morning in the same spot, climbing slowly across a cloudless sky, its rays warming the sand gradually, degree by degree, in a progression so steady, so expected, that you can almost feel the heat building layer by layer, without any sudden shifts, just a consistent glow that bathes the dunes in golden light day after day, the same light, the same warmth, over and over. The breeze, that faithful companion, stirs softly throughout the day, not in gusts, but in whispers, carrying the scent of dry sand and distant mirages that shimmer on the horizon in repetitive illusions, heat waves rising and falling, creating false images of water that never materialize, just teasing the eye in a boring loop that draws your gaze onward, inviting you to stare blankly, losing track of time in the sameness. This wind sculpts the dunes imperceptibly, grain by grain, a process that repeats eternally, lifting a particle here, depositing it there, only to lift it again later, in cycles that are hypnotic in their predictability, the sand whispering as it moves, a soft susurration that fills the air, unending, unchanging, soothing your mind like a lullaby without melody, just pure, dull repetition. Occasional mists might form in the early hours, thin veils of moisture that hover over the low points between dunes, dissipating slowly as the sun strengthens, but never dramatically. Oh no, they simply fade away, molecule by molecule, in a dissolution that you can watch for hours, the mist thinning, until it's gone, only to perhaps return the next morning in the exact same way, a cycle of appearance and disappearance that emphasizes the monotony of nature here, where nothing rushes, nothing surprises, just gentle evaporation under the steady sun. The temperature follows suit, cooling at night in a gradual drop, not sharp or chilling, but a slow easing into comfort. The sand releasing its heat bit by bit, radiating warmth that lingers, inviting you to nestle in, feeling the grains cool beneath you, degree by degree, in a pattern that repeats every evening, every night, without fail. Natural phenomena extend to the play of light and shadow, where the sun's arc casts elongated shapes across the dunes, shadows that lengthen and shorten in perfect rhythm with the day's passage, stretching out in the afternoon, contracting in the morning, always the same angles, the same shades of gray blending into tan, a visual loop that you can follow with your eyes, back and forth along the dune's edge, shadow after shadow, light after light, promoting a sense of timeless boredom that erodes away wakefulness. Stars emerge at dusk, pinpoint lights in the vast sky, constellations that wheel overhead in unchanging paths night after night, their twinkling a faint, repetitive sparkle that encourages counting 1, 2, 3, then back to 1, an exercise in futility that deepens your relaxation, as shooting stars are rare and mild, mere streaks that fade quickly without fanfare. Just another element in the monotonous tapestry. Even the rare rain, when it comes, is a soft drizzle, not a storm. Droplets falling sparsely, soaking into the sand without puddles or floods. Just a gentle moistening that revives the sparse vegetation. Low bushes that green slightly, then fade back to brown, in cycles that are drawn out over weeks, growth so slow it's barely noticeable, leaves unfurling millimeter by millimeter, only to curl again, repeating the process in endless, boring harmony with the weather. The air after such rain is fresh yet subdued, carrying a hint of petrichor that lingers faintly, inhaling it deeply, breath after breath, fills you with calm as the cycle resets, dry returning to dry, wet to wet, in memory alone. These weather patterns and phenomena are the quiet symphony of the calm desert, each element looping back upon itself, breeze to breeze, sun to sun, shadow to shadow, creating a backdrop of profound dullness that invites introspection without depth, just surface level musing on the sameness, allowing your thoughts to drift aimlessly, repeating phrases in your mind like the wind blows softly, always softly, over and over until sleep beckons. As the soothing cycles of weather continue their endless, predictable dance across the dunes, let us now explore the harmonious inhabitants of this calm desert and their serene archetypes, figures who embody the essence of quiet existence, repeating their peaceful roles day after day in the most uneventful ways, without ambition or conflict. Just a gentle presence that blends into the monotony of the sands, inviting you to reflect on their dull routines and find solace in the repetition of their unchanging lives. These inhabitants are not heroes or adventurers. They are simple archetypes like the quiet nomad, the contemplative elder, or the gentle caretaker, each one living in harmony with the desert, their days filled with looped activities that mirror the landscape's sameness, promoting deep relaxation through the sheer tedium of their predictable behaviors. Consider the quiet nomad, a figure who wanders slowly from dune to dune, not in search of anything new, but simply to follow paths worn smooth by countless prior journeys, paths that loop back upon themselves, leading always to familiar spots where the sand feels the same underfoot, warm and yielding step after step, with a gait that is unhurried, deliberate, each movement a repetition of the last, carrying a light pack of essentials that never changes. A water skin, a blanket, perhaps a staff for balance, items used in the same way every time, day in and day out. The nomad pauses often, sitting atop a dune to gaze at the horizon, eyes tracing the same curves of sand over and over, thoughts drifting to nothing in particular, just the feel of the breeze on their skin, a breeze that touches them gently, always gently, reinforcing their archetype as one who moves without purpose, without haste, embodying the desert's calm in every repetitive stride. Then there is the contemplative elder, seated in the shade of a low rock outcrop that juts modestly from the sand, a spot chosen long ago and returned to endlessly, where they spend hours reflecting on the grains of sand at their feet, picking up a handful, letting it sift through their fingers, grain by grain, watching it fall in a slow cascade that repeats with each new handful, the texture dry and fine, the sound a faint patter that echoes softly again and again, their musings simple and looped, pondering how the sand endures, unchanging, much like their own life, sharing wisdom in droning tones to any who pass by, words like the dune rises and falls, repeated softly, without variation, lulling listeners into a state of shared boredom that eases the mind. Their archetype, one of quiet endurance, a living extension of the desert's monotony. The gentle caretaker archetype tends to the sparse oases, watering the few resilient plants with water drawn from the still pool, pouring it slowly, drop by drop, watching the soil absorb it without hurry, the leaves of the plants responding minimally, greening just a touch before returning to their neutral state, a cycle of care that is performed at the same time each day, with hands moving in rhythmic motions, tending, pruning, tending again, the plants themselves, archetypes of persistence growing so slowly, their branches extending millimeter by millimeter in patterns that never alter, providing shade that is always mild, always the same, under which the caretaker rests, breathing in the faint, earthy scent that lingers unchangingly. This role is one of nurturing without growth or change, just maintenance in endless loops, ensuring the oasis remains a dull haven amid the dunes, a place where time stands still, inviting you to imagine joining in, your own hands repeating the motions. Pour after pour, tend after tend, sinking deeper into relaxation. These archetypes interact in the most harmonious, uneventful ways, perhaps crossing paths at dusk, exchanging nods and murmured greetings that are always the same. Peaceful evening. Peaceful evening. Repeated like a mantra, sharing a moment by the fire where stories of past days are retold verbatim, tales of dunes traversed calmly, routines followed faithfully, looped narratives that drone on without climax, just endless elaboration on the serenity. Their motivations rooted in balance, in accepting the desert's tedium as a gift. Arcs that don't arc, but circle back, from calm to calm, reinforcing the lack of tension, the profound boredom that defines their existence. Imagine embodying one of these archetypes yourself, feeling the weight of repetition settle over you like a soft blanket, your thoughts looping on simple details, the feel of sand, the sound of wind, over and over, erasing any restlessness. Even in their backgrounds, these figures emerge from the desert itself, born of the sands in imagined lore that is gentle and repetitive. Stories of ancestors who settled here eons ago, living the same lives, passing down traditions of quiet observation, of harmonious coexistence with the dunes, legacies that are not grand but subtle, handed down through generations in whispered repetitions, ensuring that each new inhabitant follows the same path, archetype after archetype, in a chain of serenity that stretches back infinitely without breaks or upheavals, just continuous, dull harmony. This is the world of the inhabitants, where every detail is expanded upon tediously, looped for effect, drawing you into their peaceful realm where boredom becomes a pathway to sleep. As we linger on these serene archetypes, let their repetitive lives echo in your mind, nomad after nomad, elder after elder, caretaker after caretaker, guiding you smoothly toward the next layer of this calm desert's embrace, where deeper themes await in monotonous reflection, with the harmonious inhabitants continuing their looped existences amid the dunes. Let us now delve into philosophical musings on the serenity and balance inherent in this calm desert, pondering these themes in the most drawn-out, repetitive manner, without any profound revelations or excitement, just gentle, endless reflections that circle back upon themselves, encouraging introspection through tedium, allowing your mind to wander aimlessly in the vastness of simple ideas, repeated softly to foster drowsiness and deep relaxation. Serenity here is not a fleeting state, but an eternal constant, like the sand that lies still under the sun, unchanging, inviting you to muse on how it persists, grain by grain, dune by dune, in a balance that requires no effort, no adjustment, just acceptance of the monotony over and over. As you breathe in the calm, exhale the calm, looping the thought in your mind. Balance manifests in the desert's equilibrium, where heat and cool alternate predictably, day to night, night to day, a harmony of opposites that blend seamlessly without conflict, the warmth yielding to chill gradually, always gradually, teaching a philosophy of moderation, of existing in the middle ground where nothing tips the scales. Just a steady state that you can contemplate endlessly, considering how the dunes maintain their shapes against the wind, eroding and rebuilding in equal measure, erosion after rebuilding, rebuilding after erosion, a cycle that embodies balance in its purest, most boring form, with no extremes, no imbalances to correct, just perpetual evenness that soothes the soul. Phrase after phrase, musing after musing, drawing you deeper into peaceful vacancy. Wonder arises subtly from this serenity, not in awe-inspiring bursts, but in quiet appreciation of the ordinary, wondering at the way a single grain of sand reflects the whole desert, tiny and vast at once, a theme to ponder repetitively, grain by grain, how each one contributes to the endless expanse without standing out, just part of the collective calm, inviting you to reflect on your own place in the world. Similarly unremarkable, balanced, and serene, thoughts that loop back to the desert's imagery, sand reflecting sand, calm reflecting calm, without end, promoting a gentle introspection that erodes away worries, leaving only the dull beauty of existence contemplated slowly, methodically, in phrases that repeat like the wind's whisper. Contemplation itself becomes a theme, the act of sitting still amid the dunes, mind empty yet full of the landscape's repetition, thinking about thinking, or rather, not thinking, just observing the sameness, the way time stretches infinitely in this place. Hours feeling like days, days like eternity. A philosophical lens on impermanence that is ironically permanent here, where nothing changes, inviting musings on legacy. What does one leave behind in such a place? Footprints that fade, echoes that silence, repeated reflections on transients that circle endlessly, footprint after footprint, echo after echo, reinforcing the balance of being and non-being, all in a tone so soft, so droning, that it lulls you toward sleep. Deeper meanings emerge in the artistic vision of this desert, imagined as a canvas, painted by nature, in monotonous strokes, beige on beige, curve on curve. A vision of harmony where every element complements the next without contrast, musing on how this lack of variety fosters true peace, variety being the enemy of serenity, or so the philosophy goes, repeated in looped sentences, harmony after harmony, piece after piece, encouraging you to embrace boredom as a virtue, a path to inner balance, where the mind, like the desert, becomes vast and empty, filled only with repetitive thoughts that fade into nothingness. These philosophical musings extend to themes of connection, how the dunes link seamlessly one to another, symbolizing unity in repetition, a unity you can ponder at length, connection after connection, without resolution, just ongoing reflection that mirrors the desert's flow, seamless and unchanging. In this way, the calm desert teaches through tedium, its lessons looped for eternity, serenity to balance, balance to wonder, wonder back to serenity, a cycle that invites you to close your eyes, to let the musings drone on in your subconscious, easing you into rest. As these thoughts repeat gently in the background of your mind, let them transition you smoothly to the next exploration, musing after musing, calm after calm, deepening your immersion in the endless sand dunes, while the philosophical musings on serenity and balance echo softly in the vastness of the dunes. Let us now turn our attention to the tranquil creatures that inhabit this calm desert, beings that move through the sands in the most unassuming, repetitive habits, without any chase or drama, just gentle, looped behaviors that blend into the monotony of the landscape, promoting relaxation through the sheer tedium of their predictable patterns as they go about their days in endless cycles of simple existence, inviting you to observe and unwind in the dull harmony of their world. These creatures are not fierce predators or elusive wanderers. They are archetypes of peace, like the slow-moving beetle, the languid lizard, or the drifting bird, each one embodying the desert's calm in their unchanging routines, day after day, without variation or surprise. Imagine the slow-moving beetle, a small insect with a shiny carapace that glints mildly under the sun, making its way across the sand in straight, unhurried lines, leg after leg, lifting and placing in a rhythm so steady, so repetitive, that watching it becomes a meditative exercise, the beetle pausing occasionally to burrow slightly into the sand, digging with tiny motions, scoop after scoop, only to emerge and continue its path. The same path it took yesterday and the day before, looping back to its starting point by nightfall, its habits a testament to persistence without purpose, just movement for movement's sake. The feel of sand parting under its feet, a sensation you can almost share, grain by grain, step by step, lulling your mind into emptiness as the cycle repeats eternally. Then there is the languid lizard, basking on a warm rock that protrudes modestly from a dune, its body absorbing the heat, gradually, scale by scale, without stirring, just lying there for hours, eyes half closed in contentment, occasionally flicking its tongue out to taste the air, flick after flick, in a motion that is always the same, detecting nothing new, just the familiar dryness, before retreating back to stillness, its camouflage blending seamlessly with the sand, tan on tan, unchanging as it waits for the sun to shift, then moves sluggishly to another spot nearby, a spot identical to the first, repeating the basking, the flicking, over and over, its archetype, one of quiet adaptation, teaching through boredom how to simply be without need for action, inviting you to mimic its repose, breathing slowly, in and out, as the lizard's habits drone on in your imagination. The drifting bird, perhaps a solitary dove, glides lazily overhead on broad wings, circling the same cluster of dunes in wide, predictable arcs, wing beat after wing beat, not soaring high or diving low, but maintaining a steady altitude, its shadow tracing repetitive patterns on the sand below, circle after circle, occasionally alighting on a shrub to preen its feathers, feather by feather, in meticulous, looped motions that never vary. The soft cooing, it emits a faint sound that echoes mildly across the emptiness, coo after coo, blending with the wind's whisper, reinforcing the desert's monotony, its flights not migrations but local loops, returning to the same perch each evening, habits that embody freedom without adventure, just endless repetition in the open sky, drawing your gaze upward, following the arcs, round and round, until your eyelids grow heavy with the tedium. These creatures interact in the gentlest, most uneventful ways, perhaps the beetle crossing the lizard's path without notice, each continuing their routines undisturbed, or the bird's shadow passing over them momentarily, a brief overlap that repeats daily at the same time, without interference, just harmonious coexistence in looped solitude. Their motivations simple: survival through sameness, arcs that don't progress but recycle, from dawn to dusk, dusk to dawn, backgrounds rooted in the desert's ancient calm, evolved over eons to thrive in this boredom, passing on traits of quiet endurance through generations. Creature after creature, in a legacy of dull adaptation that you can ponder repetitively, habit after habit, reinforcing the peace. Even in their sensory details, these beings enhance the immersion. The beetle's faint scratching in the sand, a sound so soft it merges with silence, repeated endlessly, the lizard's scales warming uniformly, a texture imagined as smooth and cool at first, then tepid. The bird's feathers rustling minimally in the breeze, rustle after rustle, all contributing to a tapestry of monotony that envelops you, encouraging deep breaths, slow and even, as you visualize their world, creature after creature, cycle after cycle, eroding away any lingering thoughts, leaving only serene vacancy. As we observe these tranquil creatures and their repetitive habits, let their patterns loop in your mind, beetle after lizard, bird after beetle, guiding you seamlessly toward the next layer of this calm desert's embrace, where historical echoes await in monotonous reflection, with the tranquil creatures persisting in their looped habits amid the shifting yet unchanging sands. Let us now delve into the dull historical overviews and enduring legacy of this calm desert, exploring its timeline in the most uneventful, repetitive manner, without any grand events or turning points. Just gentle, harmonious progressions that circle back upon themselves, emphasizing serenity through tedium, allowing you to reflect on the monotonous flow of time here, repeated softly, to deepen your relaxation and invite drowsiness in the vast, boring expanse. The history of these endless sand dunes is not one of conquests or discoveries, but of quiet formation over eons, layer upon layer of sand, accumulating slowly, predictably, in cycles that repeat without variation, dune by dune, era by era, a legacy of patience that you can contemplate at length, history after history, calm after calm. In the distant past, imagined as a time of even greater stillness, the desert began as a flat plain, gradually shaped by winds that blew steadily, always steadily, carrying sediments from far off, unnamed places that were themselves calm and unchanging, depositing them grain by grain, building the first dunes in a process so slow, so methodical, that it spanned millennia without notice, each edition mirroring the last, forming structures that stood quietly, their legacy one of subtle endurance, passed down through geological ages where rivers once flowed mildly before drying up gently, leaving behind valleys that filled with sand over time, valley after valley, in repetitive infilling that emphasized balance, no floods or erosions dramatic, just gradual transitions from wet to dry, dry to drier, looping back to the essence of the desert's calm. As time progressed in its unhurried way, early inhabitants, archetypes of serene settlers, arrived not in waves but in trickles, establishing camps that mirrored the dunes' curves, living in harmony with the sands. Their history, a series of repeated daily lives, generation after generation, routines handed down verbatim, like the gathering of water or the tending of sparse gardens, activity after activity without innovation or conflict, just perpetuation of the same peaceful ways, their legacy etched not in stone, but in the fading footprints that the wind erased daily, footprint after footprint, symbolizing the transient yet enduring nature of existence here. Foundational events, if they can be called such, were mere shifts in the wind's direction, subtle changes that reshaped dunes over decades, not suddenly but incrementally, shift after shift, creating new patterns that were essentially the same as the old. A historical timeline marked by sameness, where oases formed and reformed in looped cycles of moisture, appearing mildly during rare rains, sustaining life quietly before receding. Oasis after oasis, their legacy, one of quiet sustenance, supporting the harmonious societies that developed, societies built on principles of shared calm, with no hierarchies or disputes, just collective repetition of tasks, day after day, ensuring the desert's serenity endured through the ages, legacy after legacy, in a chain of boring continuity. Philosophically, this history invites musings on legacy itself, how the dunes outlast all, their forms regenerating endlessly, dune after dune, teaching that true endurance comes from embracing tedium, from repeating without resistance, a redemptive arc not of triumph, but of acceptance, where past and present blend seamlessly, no breaks, just ongoing flow, pondered repetitively, era after era, as the sun sets and rises in the same arcs, illuminating the sands in unchanging light, light after light. A visual history that drones on, lulling you into contemplation of your own timeline, simple and looped, easing toward sleep. These historical overviews extend to cultural legacies, invented as traditions of quiet gatherings under the stars, where elders repeated tales of the sand's formation, tale after tale, without embellishment, fostering a sense of communal boredom that strengthened bonds, legacy after legacy, all in service to the desert's overarching theme of harmony, where everything returns to the sand, grain by grain, in endless, dull cycles. As the dull historical legacies of the calm desert continue to unfold in their repetitive, unchanging timelines, amid the endless dunes, let us now immerse ourselves in the environmental storytelling and atmospheric details that weave through this serene landscape, details that reveal themselves in the most subtle, looped ways, without any hidden mysteries or revelations, just gentle, monotonous narratives embedded in the sand, the air, and the light, promoting deep relaxation through the tedium of their predictable patterns as we explore layer upon layer of atmospheric immersion, detail after detail, cycle after cycle, inviting you to lose yourself in the boring beauty of it all. The environment here tells its story not through dramatic features, but through the quiet persistence of the dunes themselves. Each curve and ripple a chapter in an endless book of sameness, where the sand narrates its own formation, grain settling upon grain, in stories that repeat eternally, dune after dune, with atmospheric hues of soft gold and beige, painting the scene unchangingly. Picture the atmospheric details in the way the light filters through the haze on the horizon, a haze that lingers always, diffusing the sun's rays into a mild glow that bathes everything evenly, glow after glow, telling a story of perpetual calm, where shadows fall long and soft, stretching across the sand in patterns that you've seen before, that you'll see again without variation, the texture of the sand under this light, revealing faint lines etched by the wind, lines that form and reform in looped designs, environmental cues that speak of gentle erosion, erosion after erosion, inviting you to trace them with your eyes, following the curves slowly, repetitively, as the air carries a faint warmth, a warmth that envelops you like a blanket, detail after detail, lulling your senses into drowsiness with its unchanging embrace. The storytelling extends to the sparse vegetation, low shrubs dotted sporadically among the dunes, their twisted branches telling tales of quiet survival, branch after branch, extending minimally, leaves rustling in the breeze with a sound so soft, so repetitive, rustle after rustle, atmospheric in their subtlety, evoking a narrative of adaptation without struggle, where roots delve deep into the sand for moisture, delving slowly, inch by inch, in cycles that mirror the desert's monotony. The scent they release a mild, earthy aroma that wafts lazily, scent after scent, blending with the dry air to create an atmosphere of profound boredom, one that you can inhale deeply, breath after breath, feeling the details settle into your mind, erasing thoughts of anything beyond this serene repetition. Atmospheric phenomena add layers to this environmental tale, like the mirages that shimmer distantly, illusions of water that appear and dissolve in predictable loops, shimmer after shimmer, storytelling through deception that is never deceiving, just a gentle reminder of the desert's illusions, where the heat waves rise steadily from the sand, wave after wave, distorting the view mildly, inviting contemplation of reality versus perception, but in the dullest way, perception after perception, with no deeper insights, just ongoing atmospheric immersion that draws you in. The feel of the heated air on your skin, a tactile detail that repeats, warm and consistent, promoting relaxation as you imagine standing there, mirage after mirage, fading into the haze. Hidden lore, if it exists, is buried in the sand's layers. Ancient grains compacted over time, layer upon layer, telling uneventful stories of past winds and rains that were always mild. Lore that surfaces occasionally in an exposed fossil or stone, but these are rare and unremarkable. Stone after stone, their atmospheric presence, a whisper of continuity, blending with the wind's soft howl, a howl that is more sigh than sound, sigh after sigh, carrying particles that settle anew, particle after particle, weaving the environment's narrative into a tapestry of tedium, where every detail reinforces the calm, from the coolness that descends at night, cooling grain by grain, to the stars that dot the sky in familiar constellations, star after star, all contributing to a story without plot, just endless elaboration on serenity. These atmospheric details build world upon world of monotonous immersion, with sensory textures like the powdery give of sand underfoot, give after give, or the faint crunch of footsteps that echo minimally, crunch after crunch. Environmental elements that loop back to the beginning, ensuring the storytelling never ends, never changes, just drones on, detail after detail, easing you deeper into the calm desert's embrace, where boredom becomes the ultimate narrative, inviting sleep through repetition. With the environmental storytelling and atmospheric details persisting in their subtle, repetitive layers across the endless dunes, let us now expand into the broader narrative themes of wonder, balance, and contemplation that define this calm desert, exploring them in the most elongated, looped manner, without any climactic insights or emotional peaks, just gentle, endless ponderings that circle back upon themselves, emphasizing serenity through tedium, allowing you to drift aimlessly in the vastness of these simple ideas, repeated softly to enhance your relaxation and draw you closer to sleep in the unchanging expanse. Wonder here is a quiet undercurrent, not explosive, but simmering mildly, like the subtle awe inspired by the dune's vastness, dune after dune, stretching infinitely, inviting you to wonder at their sameness, wonder after wonder, how such repetition can evoke a sense of infinite peace, thoughts that loop endlessly without resolution, just ongoing marvel at the ordinary. Balance emerges as a central theme, woven into the desert's fabric, where every element counters another harmoniously, the heat of day balancing the cool of night, heat after cool, cool after heat, a narrative of equilibrium that teaches through boredom how to maintain poise without effort, contemplating the wind's gentle push against the dunes, push after push, balanced by the sand's resistance, resistance after resistance, broader themes that extend to life's scales, pondering how personal balances mirror the desert's scale after scale, in repetitive musings that drone on, encouraging you to find your own center in the monotony, breathing in balance, exhaling balance, over and over as the narrative unfolds in predictable patterns, theme after theme, blending seamlessly. Contemplation ties these together, the act of sitting amid the sands, mind wandering in circles on wonder and balance, contemplation after contemplation, broader in scope yet tediously narrow, focusing on nuances, like the grain of sand's roll in the hole, grain after grain, inviting deeper yet surface level reflections on existence. How the desert embodies contemplation as a state of being, state after state, without active thinking, just passive observation of the unchanging narrative themes that amplify the serenity, wondering at balance through contemplation, looping back to wonder in cycles that are hypnotic in their dullness, promoting introspection that leads nowhere but to rest. Phrase after phrase, repeating softly in your mind. These themes amplify the desert's artistic vision, imagined as a grand yet boring tapestry of harmony, where wonder sparks mild curiosity about the endless, curiosity after curiosity, balanced by the acceptance of tedium, acceptance after acceptance, contemplated in quiet sessions that stretch on session after session, broader narratives that touch on universal principles like the beauty of repetition, beauty after beauty, without variation, encouraging gentle self-reflection on your own themes of wonder in daily life, reflected back through the dunes, dune after dune, all in a tone so soothing, so repetitive, that it erodes away wakefulness, leaving only peaceful vacancy. Artistic elements further these themes with the desert as a canvas of contemplation, strokes of sand forming balanced compositions, composition after composition, wondrous in their simplicity, simple after simple, narrative arcs that don't arc but recycle, from wonder to balance to contemplation and back, arc after arc, in a broader story of serenity that invites you to participate, musing repetitively on how such themes foster rest, fostering after fostering until the boundaries blur and you sink deeper into the calm. As these broader narrative themes of wonder, balance, and contemplation loop gently in the background of your thoughts, let them carry you forward, theme after theme, calm after calm, toward the concluding reflections in this serene journey through the endless sand dunes. As the broader narrative themes of wonder, balance, and contemplation continue to resonate softly through the unchanging dunes, let us now venture into the infinite time frames and peaceful explorations of this calm desert, delving into extended periods that stretch out endlessly without any markers of progress or event, just gentle, repetitive journeys through time and space that loop back upon themselves, emphasizing the monotony of serene wandering, allowing you to imagine traversing these time frames in the most unhurried, tedious manner. Exploration after exploration, time frame after time frame, drawing you ever deeper into relaxation through the sheer boredom of perpetual calm, Time here is not linear, but cyclical. Days blending into weeks, weeks into months, all in patterns that repeat without variation, inviting you to explore the morning hours that dawn, always the same. Light creeping slowly over the horizon, creep after creep, bathing the sands in a glow that builds gradually hour after hour, in time frames that feel infinite yet familiar, as you mentally wander the dunes step by step, with no destination, just the ongoing feel of sand shifting mildly underfoot. These peaceful explorations extend across afternoons that linger lazily, the sun hanging high in a sky that is perpetually clear, hanging after hanging, time stretching out as you imagine following a dune's curve after curve, exploring its contours repetitively, the warmth seeping into your being, warmth after warmth, without change. Transitional passages within the time frame guiding you from one moment to the next, seamlessly, like the wind that blows steadily, blow after blow, carrying you forward in thought, where hours pass in contemplation of a single grain, grain after grain. Time frames that loop back to the start, encouraging a sense of timelessness that erodes urgency, leaving only dull serenity. Exploration after exploration as the light shifts imperceptibly, shift after shift, marking nothing but the continuation of the same. Evenings unfold in extended time frames of twilight, where the sun dips slowly, dip after dip, casting elongated shadows that stretch and retract in predictable rhythms, shadow after shadow, peaceful explorations that involve sitting still, observing the transition from day to night, observation after observation, the air cooling gradually, cool after cool, inviting you to reflect on the infinite nature of these moments, how they repeat across seasons that are themselves monotonous, dry season after dry season, with rare mild rains that come and go in looped intervals, rain after rain, explorations that span years in your mind, year after year, wandering the same paths, path after path, discovering nothing new, just reaffirming the calm, time frame after time frame, lulling your thoughts into a haze of repetition. Nighttime explorations delve into the vast darkness, stars emerging one by one, star after star, in constellations that wheel overhead unchangingly, wheel after wheel, time frames that feel eternal as you imagine lying on the sand, gazing upward, gaze after gaze, the cool grains cradling you, grain after grain, transitional flows carrying you through the hours toward dawn, where the cycle resets, reset after reset, peaceful in its predictability, exploring the silence that envelops everything, silence after silence, broken only by the faintest wind, wind after wind, building a narrative of infinite calm where time loses meaning, lost after lost, and your mind drifts aimlessly, drift after drift, through these extended periods, fostering deep introspection without depth, just surface level looping on the serenity. Broader time frames encompass decades, even centuries of the desert's quiet evolution, dune forming over dune, formation after formation, explorations that imagine ancestral wanderers following the same routines, wanderer after wanderer, their legacies blending into the sand, blend after blend, peaceful in their uneventfulness, inviting you to project forward into future time frames that mirror the past, future after future, with no alterations, just endless repetition of the calm, time frame after time frame, as the desert endures, endure after endure. A place where exploration is not about discovery, but about embracing the tedium, embrace after embrace. Transitional passages smoothing the way between eras, era after era, all in service to the profound boredom that invites sleep. These infinite time frames and peaceful explorations encapsulate the essence of the calm desert, looping endlessly, exploration after exploration, calm after calm, preparing you gently for the final reflections as we wrap up this serene journey through the endless sand dunes. And so as the infinite time frames and peaceful explorations fade softly into the unchanging horizon of this calm desert, let us reflect thoughtfully on the deeper meanings and beauty of these endless sand dunes in a manner that is dull and repetitive, circling back to the serenity that defines it all, dune after dune, calm after calm, where the profound beauty lies in the monotony itself, the way the sand endures without change, enduring after enduring, inviting gentle contemplation of harmony in simplicity, harmony after harmony, as we transition towards sleep with peaceful, unchanging imagery of the dunes stretching forever, their gentle curves rising and falling under a sky that remains eternally mild, the wind whispering softly, whisper after whisper, carrying you deeper into rest. In this wrap-up, ponder the wonder of such a place where balance is achieved through endless repetition, wonder after wonder, balance after balance, the deeper meanings unfolding in the tedium of grains, shifting mildly, grain after grain, a beauty that is subtle and unchanging, beautiful after beautiful, encouraging restful contemplation of life's own monotonous flows, contemplation after contemplation as the imagery envelops you, the soft sand underfoot, the faint warmth lingering, warmth after warmth, guiding you to let go, to drift off into the calm embrace of slumber, drift after drift, emphasizing the wonder, harmony, and restful contemplation that permeate this serene world. Wonder after wonder, harmony after harmony, contemplation after contemplation. Allow yourself to sink into the dune's peaceful hold, sink after sinking, eyelids growing heavy with each repeated phrase, heavy after heavy, until sleep claims you gently, claim after claim, in the endless calm of the sand dunes. Good night, and may your dreams echo this serenity, echo after echo, softly, endlessly.